G'day guys and gal! The Emperor of Mankind was a special dude, not because he could bend the very soul of the galaxy to his will, but because despite him being a man of Middle Eastern descent, he had extremely diverse sperm. Like, when I eventually find a Mrs. Majorkill and absolutely slam the shit out of her, you can bet your ass that my extremely vanilla white genes will be out on show. But the Emperor was able to produce an Asian, a black dude, and even a red guy. Originally, I was going to make this a video about the genuine size of each Primarch's wiener. However, considering that requires knowledge about their ethnicity, it is tied into today's topic. But then I realized, man, you're 23. You're too old to be measuring dick sizes. I'm just joking, I'll never stop measuring dick sizes, but for the sake of the YouTube algorithm and everyone who has the maturity beyond a 12-year-old, we will place the focus on each Primarch's ethnicity. Before we get started, tonight, or today, depending where you are, is the drunk stream to celebrate 250,000 subs. I'll probably start off in like an hour or so after this video goes live, so by the time you watch this, I could already be like 10 beers deep. So once you finish this video, come on over and say hi. Obviously not every Primarch is going to be like, oh yeah, Zimbabwe, as some of them come from a multitude of races, but through inspection of the lore, it's easy to see where each Primarch sits on the scale. I'll also be diving into why each Primarch seems to have coincidentally matched the prevailing race of the planet they fell on. Let's get into it. First Primarch is the Lionel Johnson, because he's the first Legion, no shit. The Lion is incredibly white despite his misleading last name. On top of that, there really doesn't seem to have ever been Black Knights. Like even the Black Knight from medieval legend is white. As such, it's pretty obvious that everyone's favourite socially inept swordsman can be said to be Anglo-Saxon. Unfortunately for my job though, the Lion is about the easiest to pick out of all of them, so it's time to put on my race shoes and get some research done. The second Primarch is very clearly Australian, because he doesn't exist. In seriousness, there is absolutely no reference to the second Primarch that could indicate the nationality they were based off, so yeah, I'm a lore guy, not a fucking wizard. The third Primarch is Fulgrim. Despite this well-known image, no, Fulgrim is not a Chinese man with leukemia. The Emperor's children follow a very fancy and indulgent Hellenic style that could be considered a mix of Alexander the Great's Macedonia as well as Emperor Nero's Rome. I'm not just a pretty face, eh? But the real missing piece of this puzzle is in the name. Fulgrim the Phoenician. The Phoenicians were an ancient civilization that were a bit of a mixed group, settling near Lebanon, but were set up like the ancient Greek states. So Fulgrim is basically 5% Greco-Italian Arabian and 95% fabulous motherfucker. The fourth Primarch is Perturabo. Purdy and his Iron Warriors lean a lot more towards the Greek side rather than the mongrel that is Fulgrim. Sure, there are hints in their culture, mythology and style that point towards a Greek inspiration, but the dead giveaway is the fact that their home planet is called Olympia. Can't get more explicit than that. In saying that though, there are hints of Rome within the Lord of Iron. His love of sieging and conquering is very Roman, as well as the fact that he performs decimation upon his legion, which was done by the Romans, not the Greeks. To be fair though, every legion takes inspiration from Rome in some capacity. They are called legions for a reason. Now on to the fifth Primarch, Jagadai Khan. This one's a bit of a no-brainer. We could say he's East Asian, but that would just be lazy. So straight up, the Khan is Mongolian. His sword is Mongolian, his armor is Mongolian, his need for speed is Mongolian, and he's literally called the Khan. On a side topic, I reckon Mongolian throat singing shits on yodeling any day. If you disagree, well then you can just fucking fight me. The sixth Primarch is Lehman Russ. As Lehman is a blonde space Viking, it should be pretty easy to classify him as Scandinavian. However, he also has an unhealthy fetish for dogs, so does that throw a spanner in the works? Not at all. The Vikings were known to be avid keepers of pet dogs and cats. Considering Vikings love fucking and they love dogs, it's not unreasonable to assume that there would be the occasional crossover. However, this really does nail in the fact that Lehman is as Scandinavian as they come. The seventh Primarch is another challenging one, Rogul Dawn. Rogul has never been one for art and culture. Like, he always enjoyed pretty things, but he would push them to the side and say that he would give them the attention they deserve when the galaxy was at peace. So like, never. However, there are some clues here and there that do allow us to play Who's Your Daddy. His name gives us some clues. Dawn means hand in Proto-Celtic, and in Welsh, Dawn means fist. His home planet is cold as fucking shit, and he's whiter than my ass in winter. On top of that, the Imperial Fist and Dawn himself have a subtle yet clear night theme going on. So I would say that he is based around a non-English night-themed country that was cold. Ding ding ding, the Teutonic Knights, baby. Thus making Rogul a mix of German, Austrian, and Bohemian. Or maybe I'm just full of shit, who knows. Primarch number 8 is everyone's least favourite iteration of Batman, Conrad Curse. Judging by his extremely obvious boner for Dracula, as well as the odd Eastern European accent that Conrad is given by all the audiobook readers, it's obvious that the scary emo is based on Romania. His complexion and dark hair heavily reinforces this fact. To back it up even further, Romania is considered a very safe country with a wildly low crime rate. You know where else has a wildly low crime rate? Nostromo, Conrad's home planet. The fact that one is due to a functioning and healthy society and the other is due to sheer terror is completely irrelevant. Onto Primarch number 9, we have the glorious Golden Hawk Boy, Sanguinius. Now it could be easy to just say he's Austrian due to the fact that they consume the most amount of Red Bull per capita, but that would be lazy. There are some clues in his name however, as Sanguinius is a play of sanguine, which means optimistic or positive, as well as blood red. This references more towards his style though, and less about where he could be from. So let's look at his sons. The Blood Angels are men who love art and finer things. They are also known to be quite fair and beautiful. While this doesn't really cut it down too much, there's a strong argument to be made that they are based on the Renaissance Italians, but his home planet is an irradiated wasteland, so yeah, shit. I think it's clear that in Sangi's case, he just wasn't given a clear ethnicity. At the halfway mark, we have Primarch 10, Ferrous Magnus. Ferrous felt very strongly about not letting his people get too civilized or technologically advanced, as he wanted them to continue their brutal civil wars and infighting so that they could weed out the weak and present him with the most powerful warriors. This could easily be attributed to a more tribal-based civilization like the Celtics. However, Ferrous Magnus is a Latin name, and he was also called the Gorgon, which was a Greek word for dreadful monster. As such, it's pretty safe to say that Ferrous is a mix between Hellenic and Celt, or maybe he's Mexican. Now we're halfway, I thought I would try to explain why each Primarch seemingly matches their planet's ethnicity out of sheer coincidence. There are two prevailing theories. Theory 1, which is the one I believe in and I've even made a video on, is that the planets each Primarch landed on was not random, and that the god soul within each Primarch directed them through the warp to land on each planet specifically. The second theory is that each Primarch's appearance adapted to the planet that they landed on in order to fit in better and be more easily accepted. I don't really back that theory that much though, cause like, why the fuck would Magnus be red? Primarch 11 is also Australian, cause fuck you, there's no law stating otherwise. Primarch 12 is the Angry Angron. Being a gladiator makes it pretty obvious from the start that there is a ton of Rome in this dude, especially since his story emulates that of Spartacus. Other than that, I got nothing. Dude was so fried from all the fucking nails in his brain that he didn't drop many clues about what his ethnicity could have been. Primarch number 13 is Mr. Robute Guilliman. While it's obvious to just call this supreme Aryan overlord a Roman dude and move on, that's not the whole picture. Sure, the Ultramarines are heavily inspired by ancient Rome, especially their armor, names, and architecture. However, they don't look Latin, and Roman people didn't have a weird fetish for the color blue. So it could be argued that whilst predominantly Latin, Guilliman has a lot of French, as they love blue, and German, as you know, Aryan. I know that Aryan isn't actually a German thing, but they put a lot of effort into claiming it, so we'll just give it to them. Number 14 gives us Mortarian, who's a bit of a challenge to nail down, but there are some subtle clues. His name is based on the Latin word for death, and he emulates the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper first started to become a thing during the Black Death in the 14th century, which also matches up with the Death Guard and Morty's Plague vibe. So we can definitely say he's European. There's an argument that due to how polluted his homeworld is, he could also be Chinese, but yeah, that's just not what I'm going to be going for. Another clue lies in the fact that the Death Guard were originally called the Dusk Raiders, and were taken from the regions of Old Albia, which was based on the British Isles. Barbaros, Morty's home planet, was known to be very mountainous, as is Scotland, so yeah, it could be argued that Mortarian's ethnicity finds its roots in Scotland. Bet you weren't expecting that, eh? Number 15 is Magnus the Red. Now you might be like, bruh, how the fuck do you trace the origins of a red man? Considering he definitely isn't based on the Red Indians, I can see how a pea-brained person would struggle, but Magnus actually has one of the most obvious ethnicities. I mean, he lives on a planet full of fucking pyramids, and just look at the Thousand Sons armor and names. As such, it's very clear that Magnus is a mix of ancient Egyptian as well as a bit of Persian. What can I say? A man loves his rugs. Primarch 16 is the big bold man himself, Horace. Horace's alleged home planet of Chthoniya was known for being pretty rough and tumble. His name and obsession with eye symbols is an obvious link to the Egyptian god Horus, but that's kinda where the Egyptian influence ends. Lupercal, which is Horace's last name, is a play on the Latin word for wolf, hence lunar wolves. I would say Horace falls into the mongrel category, taking inspiration from Egypt and Rome. Chthoniya was also considered a bit of a Darrow-Bogan world, so maybe there is some Aussie in the big man after all. Actually no, fuck that, he's bold. Someone else can claim him. On to Primarch 17, we have the punching bag, Lorger. Off the bat, it's pretty obvious Lorger is Middle Eastern with a decent bit of Hebrew in him. On top of that, Lorger's obsession with writing shit, like he literally has gold writing all over his body, could indicate some kind of Sanskrit vibe, or maybe it's Hebrew-inspired writing. Hard to tell as each artist that draws Lorger changes it up a bit. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see Lorger's cock, so his status as circumcised can't be confirmed, but he does seem like the kind of guy to have been circumcised, so I'm gonna lock in Hebrew for the old mate. Primarch 18 gives us Vulcan, the token black Primarch. A lot of people are a bit confused about the blackness of Vulcan and the salamanders. Is it like our African black, or is it multiracial with everyone just having charcoal black skin? For the salamanders, it's the latter, but for Vulcan, there's a strong argument to be made that his ethnicity does stem from the African continent. The biggest giveaway is his face structure. Most salamanders look like white dudes who are photoshopped to be black, but Vulcan actually looks like a black dude. And yeah, it would be pretty weird of GW to make the only black Primarch not actually black. On to 19, we have the Raven Daddy, Corvus Corax. His name literally means raven, which doesn't really help us that much. I mean, we could say that he's North American because that's where ravens came from fucking ages ago, but that's a bit of a cop-out. There's also a German band called Corvus Corax who have played since 1989, but I'm not sure if that was before or after the existence of Primarchs in 40k lore. Not exactly the best of clues here. Let's just say he's American with German parents. There you go, America, you get the broody emo. And finally, Primarch 20, Alfarius, whose ethnicity is obviously Alfarius. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month give you access to a boatload of hentai. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more interracial content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.